It's time, Rob. Welcome, everybody, to Wino Wednesday. It's a good day.
Cheers.
I've learned over this course of this year, this is the 34th Wino Wednesday, by the way, I've learned to love Wednesdays. I look forward to Wednesdays.
That's a beautiful thing. Something
right?
to look forward to.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome.
Welcome to Wino Wednesday.
Yeah, this is Rob. I'm Gina.
She's Gina. I'm Rob.
in case you get it mixed up. Today, Rob, we are talking about Zinfandel.
Zin.
Not just Zin, but old vine Zin.
Ah, what does that mean?
Old vine.
Does it mean that the vines are old?
They are old. These, in fact, from Blue Quail Winery in Mendocino County, were planted in 1971. So they were however many years that is.
Well,
you do that
that's actually pretty easy because we're in 2021.
Oh, good one.
So that would be 50.
So if this is an old vine, and if I'm approaching that same age range, does that make me an old gal? An old vine?
You're an old vine.
I'm an old vine?
No, you got a ways to go before you hit 50, Gina.
A ways, yeah, years to go. Years to go. We won't talk how many years.
I was reading a little bit about it, and they said, so they're old vines, which is exactly what you would think. They're older. They were planted a long time ago.
Yeah.
They're older vines,
They're
but they say they're like gnarly.
Yes.
And
like they have arthritis.
Yeah.
Like if you look at them.
That was the word, gnarly. So I think of arthritis, kind of like, I don't know, twisted up vines, which probably look cool, and actually probably very like Halloween-y.
Halloween-y.
Is that a word?
Sometimes vines, like the old vine Zinfandel people tend to put the gnarly vine on their labels. You see that often. I don't see it on this one. But yeah, Halloween-y.
Yeah.
But
They're from a little area called the Potter Valley, which is in Mendocino County, which is basically like North Coast.
Yes, exactly. Right? Super North Coast. Mendocino's known for that weed.
Oh yeah? Is that right? I wouldn't know.
Yeah, well. It's a likely story. You're from Northern California, of course you know.
Well, okay. Well, there's some good cheese produced up there too, but we're talking, a couple hours north of the North Bay. So it's not really considered the Bay Area. It's more Northern California.
Definitely Northern California.
Rural Northern.
Yeah.
It's not really on the coast either. It's kind of inland.
Yeah, Potter Valley is, but Mendocino obviously is on the coast.
Yeah.
But it's funny that it's called Potter Valley because Potter Valley brings me to the holidays.
I didn't even make the connection with pot. Sorry.
Yeah, well that. Potter Valley. Yeah, Potter Valley. But also with the holidays, Rob, because I'm a super fan of It's a Wonderful Life, and he was in Pottersville.
Oh.
Remember when he found out when he didn't come to life, he said, "Oh, the world would be better without me," and they showed what the world would be without him. Instead of it calling Bedford Falls, it was called Pottersville. It was a horrible place to live.
That's good memory right there.
Right?
Unless you watch it every year.
Every year.
Because I have certain holiday movies that I watch every
What's
year.
What's yours?
Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
The George C. Scott. I don't watch it every year, but I do like that one a lot. I'm trying to think if there's some other ones. You're talking about Scrooged, like the Bill Murray version?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I love that movie.
Yeah, that is good.
Santa Claus for me with Tim Allen. I love that.
What about Elf?
Elf, oh gosh, yes, Elf. Haven't watched it yet, but coming.
Not only do you watch Elf, but your husband dresses up as Elf.
He is. So, and if anybody will happen to be at the Coronado Parade this Friday at 6 o'clock, Elf will be making an appearance.
Oh, wow. Maybe we'll have to show up.
But we're really digressing. Sorry about that.
Oh, Zin, okay.
Zinfandel. So cheers to that. Let me take my first sip.
Sure. I got here and it was half empty, but okay.
But let's identify the cheeses for everybody.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Shall we, sir?
And please dig in. So I'm just going to go in order that's on the lid here. So pumpkin spice Beemster. It's the one with all the spices in it, and it's kind of yellowish in color.
Smell it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, I love that smell.
It just smells like Christmas.
Yep, Christmas. Okay.
The next thing is the Finocchiona, which is the salami.
Yeah.
And that's a fennel salami. So go ahead and get into that. The third is the Fahlen Alpkase, which is nope, Gina. No. It is the one Gina's holding. It's probably hard to tell from us holding it up, but it's got a lighter rind, and the cheese itself is a little floppier.
It is floppy.
It's like a thinner piece, and it's
soft.
it's just like thinner. The texture's a little bit more supple.
Good one.
And then the last cheese is the Ardi Gasna, And that one is the one that is, it's a little bit firmer. It's
not floppy.
It's not quite as floppy. And it kind of like, that's going to be the sheep's milk cheese. And if you, I mean, for those of you who have done a lot of these, maybe you can recognize sheep's milk cheeses now. It's very reminiscent of a pecorino or a manchego or something like that.
Yes.
So you can almost, the smell gives it away right away.
Give it away. And Carol, I bet you can do it. Carol's on. Carol, you can definitely
Carol.
tell the sheep meals. I'm sure you can.
Happy December, everybody.
Yes,
Carol,
exactly. Carol,
George,
cheers.
Jason,
You're gonna sing
Megan,
Christmas
everybody.
carols, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Jason,
Later.
everybody. Yeah. Okay, good. Awesome.
But
well, I like the wine.
Is it delish?
Yeah, it is. It's you know, it's a popular wine in California. We all know California is known mostly for Cabernets and Chardonnays, but Zinfandel is right there at the end after that. And there's lots of famous ones made here in California. This one's really, really good. It's bold, it's fruit, it's all the things that go super, super good with cheese. It's great for holidays. They actually have Zin release party. You know how they have the Beaujolais release in France every year in November, third week of November? Same thing happens in California with the release of Zinfandel. Interesting, right? So it's just in time for Turkey Day. Makes Zinfandel a great turkey wine. So if you have any leftover turkey, try it with the Zin. Super delicious.
So I did read. So I did read about Zin is one of the wines that's produced in great amounts here in California. A lot of the California Zin is peppery. That's like one of the kind of notes they used to describe it. But they say this particular one, this Old World, has more of a tart finish. And so I've seen comparisons where they actually say it's similar to a Beaujolais, which is kind of younger and less round, like I don't know, finished.
Exactly.
It has kind of a younger tart finish to it. And
tart like cherries, because I'll often hear that too. Peppers and cherries in Zinfandels, and this kind of has both, but definitely more of that tart cherry, which I love. Yeah. Just super, super love. No, this is gonna be too easy.
So Zin, I didn't realize this. I always think of Zin, I put it in the same category as the Cabs and like Cabernet Sauvignon or Cab Franc, those kind of bigger on the heavier ended reds. Yeah. But it actually the grape or the varietal originates in Croatia.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Croatia, but long time ago.
Ago. Yeah. We're talking thousands of years, like 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 years ago. Yeah. And then it somehow something very similar to Zin made its way to southern Italy and it became called Primitivo.
Yes, Primitivo. And in fact, I was reading that the genetics of the two grapes are identical.
They are.
So they actually can do genetic testing on grapes.
And they called it Primitivo because it ripened early. So that's where the name Primitivo comes from. And that's credited as it's oftentimes connected with Apulia, which is also called Puglia. I know this is probably confusing, but it's a region in southern Italy, and it's the high heel of the boot, and it's on the Adriatic, so it's just across from Croatia. So it all makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
And then tons of it came to California, and it became really popular in the 19th century. Or that's when they started growing it. It's been growing in popularity ever since.
No, super good. This is delish. Seven Deadly Zins is another one. That's in from the Lodi area. They're huge for Zinfandels there. This one's interesting because it's grown kind of at a higher altitude. So even though it's in Potterville, California, it's at a higher altitude. That's kind of interesting. I'm learning so much about different grapes because we just did the Paso tour where you're just in more of the valley and the heat, and we could really see how the fog would come rolling in and create different temperature zones and everything, and it's become fascinating over the year. I feel like I've become a mini sommelier.
Well, and this the vineyard and the farm is owned by a family called the McFaddens, and I believe they're Irish origin.
Yes, exactly. Guinness McFadden.
Is that the
patriarch?
The patriarch, the name of grandpa or great grandfather, or whatever he was. But Blue Quail is just their label for their own wines, but they've also sold grapes because they just produce really high quality grapes. So they've sold a lot of grapes to other wineries all throughout Northern California for a long time. So there's a lot of different Blue Quail varietals. So this is their Zin, but we have a Gewürztraminer, I believe.
Oh, that one's delicious too.
And I know there's 10 other varietals that they make.
Exactly. Super good. So what are you going to try with first, Professor?
Let's do the pumpkin. Let's just go in the order because I don't really know what the mild to wild order is tonight.
Exactly.
So we'll try pumpkin spice first.
Let's do it. Why not? Pumpkin spice, everything nice, right?
Oh, one other little fun fact I wanted to say. Zin, regular Zin, 6 times less sales than its cousin, White Zin.
No.
Yeah, they're really sweet. White
Seriously?
Zin.
It outsells it 6 times?
By 6 times.
No, it does not.
Uh-huh.
Even today, like this day and age,
Yeah.
like what?
It may have gone out a little bit. Maybe it's 5.5.
Right, but still, I would never guess that. Oh wow, White Zin.
I always say this about our industry, the fancy artisan cheese industry. We're still such a small niche, which is a good thing if you think about it, because there's still so much room for growth.
Exactly.
So,
Not
not everybody is a cheese snob like us, Gina.
Not yet.
We're working on it.
Okay, this is super pumpkin spicy.
yeah.
I want to melt this over pasta. I have like little pumpkin shaped pastas.
You should
What
make
if I could melt
raviolis or
this?
something.
Wouldn't that be? I should make it.
Yeah, you
And-
should. And then I should eat it.
Exactly. That's what I thought was coming. That would be good, stuffed in a ravioli, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh god, anything pumpkin flavored, I'm in. And let's see what we think with the wine. But that's just a good Gouda. A Gouda.
Yep. So this is really young. For a Gouda, this is 1 month. What do you think? It's good?
It's so good. 1 month, I mean it is. It's, again, supple. It's like bendy, creamy, pumpkin spicy, super with the Zinfandel. I mean like super with the Zinfandel.
So
Whoa.
this is from Beemster, who is a very large producer in Holland. We have a lot of stuff that we have comes from Beemster. Beemster is also the name of a town. They have a huge facility. I visited them.
Oh, you did? I know. I've seen pictures. Yeah.
So I saw them one time. I've also visited some very small producers in around the countryside of Holland. Usually they call the small producers, which are would be similar to what we call artisan or farmstead production. They call them Boerenkaas, which means farmhouse cheese. So if you ever see something labeled Boerenkaas, that's what it means. The Beemster produces great cheeses, but they're more of a co-op style. If you saw how big this facility was,
I couldn't even imagine.
it's huge. So they're taking milk from cows from all over.
And lots of milk. If they're
Tons of
producing,
milk.
because these wheels, the wheel that this comes off is about a 20-pound wheel. And they make 20 varieties of cheese at least.
Well,
and 20-pound wheels shipped all over the world. It's crazy volume.
and some of the Beemsters are 3, 4, 5 years old, and they're probably 30, or maybe some of them are as big as probably 40-pound wheels. Remember, a wheel is going to shrink. So the older a cheese is, the more milk it takes, because that wheel's going to get smaller and smaller over time. So
because of evaporation, right?
Yep. That's just part of the aging process. So this is young, 1 month. The pumpkin spices are nutmeg, cinnamon, and clove.
Nutmeg, cinnamon, clove, pumpkin spice. So Carol brings up a good point. It's interesting that they too have pumpkin spice in Holland. So no, my guess is
I know what you're gonna say.
this is made specifically for us in the American market. All things pumpkin spice, right? It has to be. I'm sure it's shipped elsewhere, but definitely.
Beemster, they probably. I'm just guessing here. I know every event we go to, whether it's a fancy food show or ACS, which is American Cheese Conference, like they always have a presence at all these things. So they have reps in. I bet you they've got a half a dozen reps across the United States. They are that big.
Yeah.
And so they know what they're doing. They make a lot of like gimmicky cheeses. Let's be honest here.
Yeah. This one you could put in that category, but it's delicious.
It's gimmicky, but it's fun. Like,
yeah.
They make do they make the coconut Gouda? Is that from Beemster?
They do Coco's.
Coconut Gouda. I think they make do they make their do they make a green one too? Like, wasn't there an avocado Gouda?
Okay, let's stop there. There was
St.
an
Patty's Day.
avocado
Was that
Gouda.
from Beemster?
It was from Beemster.
Yeah.
So yes, they go a bit crazy with the flavors, and some of them maybe not the favorites. This one, however, is delicious.
But you know what? I won't criticize, because I like innovation. I like people taking risks, and who cares what people think? I mean,
you like
anyone?
it?
Yeah, I like anyone who takes a risk, and because anyone who's on the front lines, who is a vanguard, who's trying to be different, is going to be criticized. You know, that's what happens when you're ahead of your time.
Ahead of your time. Until everybody loves you, and then suddenly you're a hero or a dog, but you have to be a dog first sometimes.
And then 20 years later, everyone's like, oh, we knew it all along. No, you didn't. If you knew it, you would have done it.
Okay, on that note, Robbie G.
Oh, hey, you know what? We're on the same page here. Come on.
We're on the same page. It's so true. So Armand is back and suggests maybe this pumpkin cheese would go in a sweet potato pie.
Ooh, that's a good call. And I think
cheese, sweet potato pie. Yes.
These types of like supple, melty cheeses with potatoes are great. That would be complimentary. So one thing about Goudas is that they have this sweetness to them.
Always.
They get even sweeter the more they're aged, but because of the pumpkin spice, that gives another element of sweetness. So it would be very complimentary.
For sure. And I like all those ideas. That's the beauty of cheese. You can do almost anything with it.
Yeah.
You know, there's coffee that they put cheese in.
Coffee that they put cheese in?
Yes, like melt cheese coffee. It's crazy.
What do you mean? Like
This is like in Japan or somewhere super weird that you wouldn't expect it. When I say that weird, it's just you wouldn't
Japan
expect
would appreciate
it
that.
come there. Exactly. Sorry, Japan. I didn't mean that. I meant that you wouldn't expect it. You would expect it to come from here. Something goofy, right? And weird. But cheese, because there's butter coffee or butter tea. You know, you put butter in things. Cheese. So I've not tried it yet, but yeah.
Sorry, you took a bite of Finocchiona.
Sorry. But talk about that, because since we're talking spices.
And we haven't talked about the other accoutrements on the plate.
Yeah. So I had the pecan.
Yeah. So some of the other accoutrements on the plate are one, I just took a bite because I couldn't help myself, of the Finocchiona, which is, that's just the word for fennel salami in Italian. And so it's just a, like a traditional salami. It's got little bits of fennel seed in it, which are very strong and very
licoricey,
distinct, I would say. But it's, to me, fennel is a strong flavor. Some people really like it, some people really don't.
Yeah.
I think if it pairs with anything, it's definitely really salty, savory meats.
Oh yeah. Because of the sweet against it. Yeah.
We've got rosemary. We've got, are these peaches? Dried peaches. Candied pecans.
So good.
There's blackberries. And is that complementary to the wine because Zin gets a lot of blackberry notes?
I have not had one yet, but we will discuss.
And then there is some kind of
oh gosh, I didn't know. I'm gonna
marmalade jam. I don't know what that is. Does somebody want to?
Let's take a. Oh my gosh, I can't even
believe
believe I forgot all about
this.
this.
What it is?
Oh,
it looks like it's been cut into little squares.
It's so good. You know what these are?
No. But what do you tell me?
I believe they've chopped up our those candied walnuts.
Yeah. Yep.
So you guys, this is super, super yummy. They take green walnuts. Typically it's Italian. I'm not gonna bet my life that this is from Italy, but typically from Italy, green walnuts, which are young, unroasted, right off the tree, and then they steep them in syrup, sugar.
I think they might also come from Central or Eastern Europe.
Yeah,
which is interesting because the wine originates in Croatia. And have you been to Croatia?
I've not. Have you?
No, but I know that it's kind of like one of those it's been up and coming for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe not a secret anymore.
Not a secret. Isn't Dubrovnik Croatia?
Yes.
Which is now overrun and all that jazz. So yeah, it's not the hidden gem that it used to be, but there are hidden gem places.
There's Croatia, and then there's also the region that we mentioned in Italy, Puglia, or Apulia, that goes by two names, which is where the city of Bari is located. It's also where burrata comes from. They say that one is kind of being like overrun with tourists now too.
That's something.
So I've talked to some people in the travel industry because we do our tours, and they're like really all about Apulia.
Yes, Puglia. Everyone wants it. Let's buy one of those €1 houses and just have wine and cheese tastings. And then anyone that wants to come can come.
You think we're joking, but we're actually like considering this.
Oh yes, many times. Maybe Puglia is where I'm going with this. Is the place to do that?
Okay.
Perhaps.
Well, look. There's also in Croatia they have we're just all over the place, but they have that island of Pag, P-A-G.
Yes.
And that's where that really famous cheese pasky-sir comes from.
Pasky-sir, which is their manchego, you could call it, their pecorino. Right?
It's a sheep's milk cheese. That's usually it can be really, really hard and like grainy, but it's a really famous cheese from there.
Yeah.
Which would be fantastic with Zen. I mean, it's a total Zen type of cheese.
I'm kind of thinking everything would be. This is delish.
Yeah.
I kind of need some truffle to try. I think even truffle would go with it. Just saying, we don't have it, but could happen.
Okay, so that was
Carol's in on our Euro place. She'll join us.
Carol, Carol, you should come on one of those trips.
Oh, yes.
You would like it.
See, yeah. Whichever trip. And we. That's the next one.
We, or how do you say yes in Italian?
And si. Yeah. Si.
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 Of course, duh. All right, so that was the
That's so
Finocchiona.
Good. The Finocchiona. And the pecan, to me, the pumpkin spice with the pecan, of course, was fabulous. And you're trying to tell me I should see if the blackberry brings out blackberry in the wine?
Yeah, why not?
Give me one moment.
Yeah.
Also tart. Wow. Yeah, those just blend together. That's complimentary.
Hey, you know what I just realized?
Complimentary what? Rosemary. We can talk about that too.
No. Where's our Dunbarton Blue?
Are we supposed to have Dunbarton Blue?
I thought we did, or maybe not. It was on. No, I know what it was. It was on our internal spreadsheet. It's a Dunbarton.
I wonder what happened.
It's on my.
Next time. Maybe that'll be part of the blues. We'll talk about that later.
No, I just spaced out for a second. I'm sorry.
Just spaced out. So Carol said she'd meet us there on the motorcycle because they do the motorcycle tours through Europe. And
a Vespa or motorcycle?
Carol, you have to tell us it's Vespa or motorcycle, both, right?
Yeah.
Or could you do both?
Well, we can go. Yeah. We can go from that region in southern Italy to Croatia and back and forth on boat or maybe jet ski.
No, jet ski.
We do Vespa and jet ski, and it will be really cool.
It'll be super cool. That's going to be our tour. Okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. I love it. That was super perfect with the Zin. Love.
Okay, so that was Finocchiona. I like where we're going.
Yeah, that was so good.
So the next one is the Fahlen Alpkase.
So this one, unique and very rare. Rob. So this is part of the Adopt an Alp program. So there's actually a company and a person that kind of started it, of course, that her whole goal was to introduce the world to the small cheesemakers that are scattered all over the Alps. And we're talking the Swiss Alps, the German Alps, the Austrian Alps, French Alps, from that region. This one comes from a little family maker. Did you know that their creamery and aging room is an hour and a half by foot to get to their place? This is how way out there this Alp is from Switzerland. So it's really unique. Very few wheels made. 300, I believe. I want to say something in that range.
Less than 300 a year.
Yes, so we have one of them right here. So this is just as pure as a cheese can get. Right, as an alpine. So the cows are grazing in these beautiful lush fields, and then this family milks those cows, makes this cheese. They age it in a little hut, which is called a hutte, and they leave it there after the summer. The cows have to come down to the valleys, away from the snow and everything in the winter, but they leave the cheese in these hutte to age. So they have to take sleds to go and turn them and care for these cheeses while they're aging through the winter. Talk about hard work. So I'm so happy that we could adopt such an Alp and just introduce people to the story. Yeah.
Their names are Sepp and Sylvia.
Very swift.
Inouwens, that's their last name, Inouwen. They have 6 kids. Their kids they range in age from like 6 to 20, I think. And so sometimes they'll, enlist their older kids to come help them. But like you said, when there's a big order, they got to go up to the Fahlen, which is, I think it's like the name of like the slope or something where the hut or the hutte is located, which is again like an hour and a half hike from any road so they have a horse and they'll take the horse up there when they have multiple wheels that they got to bring down because they're heavy, But that's the story of Alpine. And by the way, Alpkase means Alpine cheese, basically.
Yeah, Alpkase.
But the story really is it's about isolation. And one thing that has always been true about food in general, but especially cheese, is that nothing goes to waste. And so they have a certain number of cows. I don't think they have more than 100, but a good amount. But they also take care of a lot of their neighbors' cows and animals.
Everyone helps each other. That's a cool thing.
And so they during transhumans they march. In this case, I think they get up to like 6,000 or 7,000 feet or something like that, and they're eating this amazing food every day.
You've
like
seen it.
Pristine, it's gorgeous.
Lush grass. We don't have such a thing in San Diego. You would never find a field of such a lush grass.
Yeah, and so of
Yeah.
course that produces such delicious milk and cheese, and so you've got a bunch of animals, and there's not a lot of people, so they don't let that milk go to waste, and they turn it into cheese. And so they age it, and if you're aging cheese, that's basically spoiled milk, and it's a way to increase the value and preserve it, and to bust it out when weather's not so great, and sell it, make more money on it.
So good.
They also have goats up there, and they produce a goat's milk cheese too, which I thought was interesting because you see very, very few goat's milk Alpine cheeses.
Very few. Ziegen. Anytime you see the word Ziegen, that's a goat.
Ziegen. Interesting.
C. T-S-E. C.
Oh, like tsunami.
Like that, exactly. Like tsunami. Ziegen.
Why do they do that? That's just stupid.
Well, talk to the Swiss or the Germans. I don't know how they do it.
like English doesn't have a lot of dumb words like
exactly.
that too.
Let's not go there. That's a whole different king of dumbness. So you talked about the big word, Professor, transhumans. For the people that don't know what this transhumans could be.
Yeah. Oh, so that's where they basically march the cows in the spring and the summer when there's lush green grasses. They'll march the cows up the mountain until they hit snow. So they'll get up to 8,000-10,000 feet, come back down, but they are eating the best earth every day, the best vegetation.
Gourmet.
Yes.
Gourmet.
This is the best
food.
of the best.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter where they are. It doesn't matter what elevation or how many people live in close proximity. They are milked twice a day. And so they have to find something to do with that milk because they can only consume so much liquid milk. And so the Alpine wheels are the wheels that are the biggest. Now, I don't think the Fahlen Alpkase, this cheese is not quite as big as some of the others, but some
Tell me
cheeses,
the biggest one.
The biggest one is probably Emmental, which is can be 200-pound wheels.
200 pounds, so slightly less than Rob. No, I'm kidding.
Imagine, well, no, you're not kidding.
I'm not, I'm kidding.
It's holiday time.
No, I'm super kidding.
Well, put it in perspective, Parmigiano Reggiano weighs about 100 pounds.
Which, those are huge wheels.
They're huge. If you ever see those, they're ginormous and
but
double that.
Emmentaler's better, bigger.
Emmental, Comte is like, some of them are 150. I've seen them as big as 180. So they are really, really big wheels of cheese. I mean, to further put it in perspective, we get these wheels of Gouda in that are 20 and 30 pounds, and those seem big.
Yes. You're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with this wheel of cheese? Yeah. So crazy. But how cool is that? And that's the way to extend the life of that basic ingredient, milk.
Yeah, milk, salt, and rennet. That's really all
That's
it is.
it.
And that's
we say that every time. If that's what you see as ingredients, that's a good cheese.
Yeah, and that's keeping it really simple because we're not going to go into like the cultures or the molds and bacteria that are introduced to, because a lot of that is just it's ambient. It's in the caves that the cheeses are aging in, or the
air.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff too is. It's native to wherever the cheese comes from, or it's just part of the terroir. Yeah. So and a lot of that stuff too is proprietary, so they don't tell us like the names of those. Yeah. So the cheese that I just mentioned, Emmental, which is the white cheese with the holes in it.
With the holes, big holes, yes.
Those holes are produced by basically like a gas, an explosion that creates these air pockets. Yeah. And that's one cheese which is really rare, where the bacteria, because it causes those air pockets, it makes the cheese expand like bread. Yeah.
So it almost, a flat wheel kind of puffs up because there's air inside.
We took a group to Paso Robles, or Robles, however you like to say it. The locals say Robles. But one of the producers, Central Coast Creamery, the cheesemaker's name is Reggie Jones. He makes an American version of Emmental that he calls Holy Cow.
Yeah, in a much smaller form.
Yeah, but you can see the process where the cheeses expand, and then it tastes, and it looks like it too when on the interior. The eyes are a little bit smaller, but the
science of
the
that, right?
Bacteria, it's a really, really long name, and it's I can't even remember what it is, but I think they call it Shermani for short, but it's got about 50 syllables.
Must be German in origin. So Carol asked, and I don't know this answer, how do you move wheels that are 200 pounds?
Well,
I mean, honestly, is it in a wagon?
Do you wonder why they make them in the shape of a wheel?
Yes, I do.
Well, wonder no more, because they just roll them down the hill.
Isn't that crazy?
That's probably legend. I don't know
Yes.
if that's
Maybe
true
not
or
today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think there are theories that is why cheeses were made in that shape, was so that they can roll them down the hill if needed. There are cheeses I've seen, Alpine cheeses, where they'll put like grass or flowers pressed into the rind, and that is also like, it's tradition, but it's like paying homage to that whole idea that, one, it's a reflection of terroir, the earth it comes from, but also when you would roll them down, they would
that'd be the only way to transport
the grass on the rind.
Yeah.
So it's all part of the process, and I mean the other thing is, I mean they have carts and stuff, and I'm sure they have like donkeys and
Swiss Mountain Dogs.
Yeah, Swiss Mountain Dogs, like panini.
Horses.
So.
Yeah, it makes sense. We need to have a cheese rolling
this
contest. So it's very mild. I mean, you can tell by the texture of it that it would be. And for people that have done this for many weeks throughout the year, when you have a soft, bendable, pliable texture, oftentimes that cheese will be milder because it's younger, right? And this is the case for this one. This one's just a mild, pleasant. I would sit and just lop off a chunk of this any old time.
That would probably
Breakfast
melt really well too.
Would melt. They all melt good. The Alpines melt like dreams.
Yeah.
That's why the fondues, the raclettes, everything, Alpine cheeses. This one would, for sure.
Eat the rind on that, because the rind is
super flavorful, huh?
Yeah, it's a little bit washed, I can tell. And a lot of Alpine cheeses have a washed rind. Usually for these, they just take a brine, salt water, and they brush it every few days, and it so it kind of like keeps the bad bacteria away, keeps the good bacteria there, and it forms this crusty layer which protects the interior of the cheese, but it also is edible, and you can eat it, especially when it's young. When they get really, really aged, the rind gets hard, and you can't really eat it. you can gnaw on it if you want.
Yeah, exactly.
But this one should definitely be eaten.
But so good, Alp Fallen. There's so many Alps. So we've got each shop adopted a different Alp. So there's a way to just try different Alpine cheeses. But other Alpines, I mean, the famous ones, we talked about Emmentaler, the hugest, but Gruyere, that's got to be the kind of the most, I think I'm going to put that up there with the most famous Alpine. Yeah? Gruyere,
I would say,
what are you going to say?
I know, I think if you talk to anyone in Switzerland who said, hey, what's the king of Swiss cheese, they would say Gruyere.
Gruyere, it has to be, yeah.
But I think that the most popular, just in terms of like volume, is probably Emmental, or Emmental style, and it's because it is a little bit milder. It's more, so it's more approachable, and I think that's why it became the one that was like copied and then reproduced in factories in the United States. Yeah. And then labeled Swiss cheese. They call it Swiss cheese.
Yeah, exactly, because the holes are so big, and you just notice it right away. Is there any other cheese that you can recognize just by that look?
Well, in a lot of the cheeses that are called Swiss cheese, they're from America. They're just labeled Swiss cheese. Like what they mean is Swiss style cheese.
Yes.
I was just gonna talk about. There's a cheese called Dunbarton Blue. It's not on. I don't want to tease you.
You did.
But maybe we have it in one of the shops. I don't know. But
we do.
Okay. Mission Hills has it. So go check it out. It is it's a cheddar, like an English style cheddar, and it's also pierced. And so it's lightly blued, and then they press it so that there's a little bit of bluing, but not much bluing.
Not a ton.
So it's more of a cheddar with a slight blue. It's kind of a hybrid cheese. But my point was going to be that the guy who makes it, his name is Chris Raleigh, and his cheese, his creamery is called Raleigh House, like H-O-U-S,
which is the German Swiss spelling of house.
But their family was Swiss, and he's a fourth generation cheesemaker, and that's actually not a super uncommon story in Wisconsin. There's a lot of Swiss, English, German families that moved there, started making cheese, and so they make what the cheesemakers back home made, or what their family members back home made. So you see like Limburgers,
which is the brick.
Yeah,
Limburger,
brick cheese is, if anyone has heard of brick cheese, it is a mix of cheddar and Limburger.
Yeah, that's so crazy, right?
And it's a total Wisconsin creation. I mean, they basically invented
There's
it.
that innovation.
Yeah, and so they made a new cheese called brick cheese, and they age it they put a brick on top of it to press it
literally.
and age it. Yeah.
Remember we saw the bricks in
we did.
Wisconsin. Yeah.
That was I forget what they were called.
Widmer's
cheese, yes. Yeah, they were awesome.
Yeah.
But so like there's a lot of great Swiss cheeses made in Wisconsin, but they're not Swiss cheeses, they're American cheeses, but they're Swiss style cheeses. Yeah. Anyway.
Complicated, Robbie G, this world of cheese.
One more I'll mention from Wisconsin is Pleasant Ridge Reserve, because do we have it again yet this year?
Somebody had it.
I thought somebody
sure if
had
anyone
it.
has it right now.
There's a small producer in a town called
Andy
Hatch, Uplands, and they're in what is this town called?
What is the town called? It's gonna bug me now, but
Dodgeville, Wisconsin.
Yep, good call. Mm-hmm.
And so he makes a cheese called Pleasant Ridge Reserve, just named for his the ridge in his neighborhood on his farm. It is very pleasant, but it is based on a cheese called Beaufort, which is a French Alpine style cheese. And so that's what American cheeses are. And he's won 2 or 3 awards. I mean, best in show for that cheese.
Yeah, which nobody has. But speaking of best in shows, can we just digress for one moment? Because the World
We've
Cheese
been digressing
Awards,
all day.
This is what it is because, yes, the World Cheese Awards just kind of happened. Did you see that Beehive's porcini?
I saw that, yeah.
Porcini cheese, which we don't have, so don't come running in to ask. We will try to get it. It's a cheddar style cheese, but rubbed in like porcini mushroom bits. Really got high accolades and was the highest gold medal winner at this world cheese competition.
Congratulations to
Pat
Beehive and Candace, who's our rep.
Yep, everything. I mean, super cool. So we're going to try to get that, everybody. But it just shows, of course, the first place to do anything is going to be emulated afterwards. That's how it works, right? I mean, it's just how it works. So we are copying everything that the old world cheeses have done, and sometimes in a good and better way.
Yeah.
Talk about Harbison is like a Mondor, and it's really, really good. Or a Rush Creek Reserve, same thing. You're copying what the French have done for centuries. We have not been around for centuries, so we haven't had the chance to come up with this stuff. But now we're making it too, and it's delicious. Same, in that style.
Gina's referring to a couple of domestic cheeses. One's from Vermont, one is from Wisconsin. Actually, the one from Wisconsin is from Andy Hatch, who also makes the Pleasant Ridge Reserve. But they are these bark wrapped cheeses, and they just are these like kind of they're washed rind, but when you spoon into them, they ooze everywhere. They're these runny, strong cheeses that are held together by bark, and even that bark is usually part of the local terroir. That's where I've used that word 2 or 3 times now, but that just means like the local earth or like the flavor of that place. But if the animal is grazing on grasses that are local, and all the bacteria that attaches itself and mold that attaches itself to the outside of the cheese, they're from the cave where the cheese is aged. And then the bark that the cheese is wrapped in is from a local tree, whatever is native to that area. They all go together. It's a complete expression of that place, and it's totally unique to that place.
Yeah, and you've said that before. What grows together goes together.
Yes.
Which is a common thing. Can I just make a confession, Father Rob?
Oh, no.
I ate a whole Harbison. Not a big Harbison. There's a Harbison mini, but I ate the whole thing at Thanksgiving.
So go say 10 Our Fathers, whatever people do. Go say a rosary.
I gotta do something. I don't know. Once again, O'Carroll had asked, the Beaufort style cheese that's from Wisconsin is called Pleasant Ridge Reserve.
Pleasant Ridge Reserve. So look for it. They are called Uplands Creamery, and they are fantastic. And you'd be supporting. Again, we talk about adopt an Alp. That just means like buying cheese from small producers is a good way to adopt
a local
a cheesemaker,
non-Alp, but a cheesemaker.
Not just a cheesemaker, but also all of the staff there. The admin people and their drivers and whoever else.
Everything that goes into making a cheese.
Yeah, you're adopting a business.
Adopt away. We didn't talk about the rosemary again. Everybody knows our
affinity
for rosemary.
And we got our little marigold. Did I miss anything?
You ate one time.
Yeah, they're not super tasty. They look good, but they're not super tasty. And then, of course, the crackers.
Yeah.
Shall we talk about the next one?
Yes, because this is we rarely get this one, and so I'm anxious to hear what you have to say about it.
Okay.
And I will eat it.
So Ardi Gasna.
Ardi Gasna. That doesn't keep going. It doesn't sound French.
Well, no, it's not French because it is Basque.
Oh.
So the word, it doesn't sound like anything I recognize. And I forget the origin of Basque, and maybe somebody, maybe Carol knows, but there's it has a kind of an origin that you wouldn't expect, the Basque language, but it is a Basque name. The cheese itself is from Midi-Pyrenees, so it's actually a little bit out of the Basque region. That's where Roquefort comes from. There's parts of it that are kind of arid and dry, and then it gets into a mountainous area, and so there's they I forget what they call that mountain range there, but a lot of sheep and goat's milk. So the Roquefort is always sheep's milk. Basque cheeses are, I would say, majority sheep's milk. There are some goat's milk mixed in there,
sheep.
but this one is sheep's milk, and the word Ardi Gasna means sheep's cheese. So that's what the name means.
Like literal.
Literally.
Literal translation. Like pecorino is pecora, pecorino. Literal.
Yeah. And as Gina said earlier, some of the famous sheep's milk cheeses that are really in this family and are very similar and remind us of this cheese are Manchego.
This tastes like Manchego.
Any pecorino.
I love it.
And this is a washed rind, but I don't know what they wash it in. I wonder.
I'm not
This
sure,
is
but I
a
ate
really
it.
dark rind. Yeah. Oh, you didn't eat? You ate this?
I did.
Okay. Oh, fine.
It's fine.
There's some kind of dark, almost like a powder on it. It looks like cinnamon or something. I don't know what it is though.
Yeah.
It's good.
But it's Manchego-esque. To me, I love it. And I love the texture. It kind of makes my teeth slide together.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
No.
It's just that slipperiness, but I love that. Ardi Gasna.
Washed rind, very traditional way of making cheese, and you will find this with these types of cheeses, pecorinos, Basque cheeses that have been made the same way for thousands of years. Always animal rennet.
Which is natural.
Which is natural, but rennet is the least known of the ingredients, and that's what coagulates. Yeah, it curdles the milk, and it is it's an enzyme, and it turns liquid milk into curds and whey. But these types of cheeses, you can rest assured they're always going to be made with animal rennet.
Which is almost all the old world cheeses truly follow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they have in the old world.
A lot of it's interesting. Like a lot of the newer cheeses, when I say newer cheeses, I mean cheeses that have come out in the last 40, 30 years. A lot of those California cheeses that you've probably heard of, Humboldt Fog, the Cowgirl Creamery cheeses, Mount Tam, Red Hawk, those are all vegetarian.
Yeah.
Because they use a different type of rennet.
From a plant.
It's or there's also something called microbial rennet, which is made in a lab, but it performs the same function. And the reason that a lot of cheesemakers nowadays are using these microbial or plant-based rennets is because it's easier to sell.
I'm watching your words.
It is not quite as controversial if you're not using animal rennet.
Yeah, although it's a completely natural thing. And
yeah.
You're not killing animals to get the rennet. It's already there.
Byproduct.
Exactly. Oh, that's good. I would eat that. I could just, again, have just a wheel sitting in the fridge, and I would just carve off a piece for lunch, and it's good with the grapes. It's delicious with grapes.
I haven't had a grape yet.
Yeah, I haven't had anything with the rosemary yet, and people that have been on this before know that we love the rosemary with anything. The little petal. It's not a frond. I think it's called a petal. Oh, I love that.
How about, can I have a pine?
You can have a pine petal. So good. All of these have went so good with the Zinfandel.
Do you think anyone will
What are
notice
you doing?
if I do that?
Roger will notice. Oh my gosh. Gotta watch every second with this guy.
Whatever.
Every second. They all went so good with this wine, which tells me, Rob, that really this one's so good with food.
Yeah.
Because everything went super. We've had wines where sometimes you go, that's a little off, or it just doesn't mesh, but all of these have meshed.
That's what that was one of my notes about this particular Zin, because some Zins will get to be very robust and they'll get really bold. Yeah. This one is a little bit more medium bodied, a little bit more of, like I said, more leaning towards that Beaujolais type of red, which is
pleasant.
They're and we say that word table wines all the time, but what they really are just food friendly, and they're meant to be paired with food in general, not just cheese, but of course they go great with cheese.
Well, everything.
What doesn't go good with cheese?
Really? I mean, let's go with that. We'll do a pairing. What doesn't go with cheese? Okay, what would you put on that plate?
We'll try as hard as we can to come up with bad pairings. That's a good idea.
Let's do the bad pairing plate. But I don't even know what you'd put on there.
I think the only times like you can kind of mess up.
Okay, tell me.
Well, sometimes like a blue cheese with like a red wine, certain red wines, it'll make it. They can be great, but there are times where I've like noticed like kind of like bitterness.
It's just like
yeah.
Finish. But you still eat them. Like they're not like so horrible.
Or the other thing is like when you put a fresh cheese, like let's just say a mozzarella with a IPA, you're just like, what's the point? There's no flavor pairing happening. If you're just hungry and it's a hot day and you just want to have like a caprese salad and wash it down with like a beer, okay, sure, but you're not doing that for like the pairing of it.
True.
But
there's, like you've said this 100 times, there's no right answer and there's no like rules.
No.
People are always very worried about, well, what should I eat with this or drink with this?
Don't worry.
Whatever you like. If you like white Zinfandel with that, it's fine. That's right. It's okay.
Yeah, out of a box, of course.
Doesn't matter.
Yes, it sells 6 times as much as a regular Zin. Do you know that?
Now I know. 6 times. I'm still super shocked at that.
Yeah.
I've become a snob probably through all of this because I could never have guessed that in a million years.
I remember like when I was a kid, in the 80s, I remember White Zin.
White Zin was
in a box was like a big thing that people would have, like the chilled sweet White Zin.
Yeah, and it was always sweet. That was the thing.
Always sweet.
The Asti Spumante, all those sweet ones were the ones that I remember too.
Yeah.
Were they the cheapest?
Well, and the thing, speaking of like of pairing and in flavors, a lot of times what happens with sweet is, and they used to do this throughout history, like with champagne, they would cover up sort of off flavors or not great flavors or not complex flavors with just by sweetening things. So they would put sugar in champagne, because champagne used to be gunky when they hadn't figured out how to get all the sediment out.
And that would be off-putting.
Yeah. But so I think sometimes with like lower quality foods, wines, they'll just sweeten it up, and then who doesn't like sweet? I mean,
true. Good point.
So it makes it more palatable.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite today on the whole thing?
Gosh, let me think.
What'd you say?
What was our first cheese? I forgot.
The Beemster
pumpkin spice. That's
you
fun. Probably not my favorite. Hey, look, I'll get in the holiday spirit and I'll eat some pumpkin spice. I'm not gonna be too much of a snob. My favorite type of cheese is this Alpine. So the Fahlen Alpkase. Although this is probably not strong enough for me. I like it a little bit stronger.
Yeah. So maybe age could give it a little more strength.
Yeah.
Or just a different little bit style how it's made.
My favorite cheese is Gruyere, what you mentioned, Comte. Those are my favorite cheeses.
Those are go-tos. You should have a wheel in your fridge at every given time.
Yeah, they're 180 pounds.
I'm with
you
Rob.
Should have it in your fridge.
You should have it in your fridge. 180-pound wheel. We'll make you a deal.
Yeah.
Because I'm with you. But Gruyere might be the ultimate have in the fridge. Would you put that over Parmigiano Reggiano?
I would, yes.
Yeah, I might do. Don't tell Italy, but I'm just saying. Yeah.
I would, because I like to snack on it more. I'll snack on Parm too.
Yeah. It's just not as approachable as Gruyere, like as anything.
And my go-to snack is quesadillas, like little corn quesadillas.
Oh, you do corn versus flatbread.
Yeah. So I'll just throw down a couple of corn tortillas, and then I just grab my chunk of Gruyere Comte, and boom, boom.
Done.
A couple shreds. Yep.
Super delish.
So it's good. What was your favorite?
That sounds good. Today, this is tough. I did love the pumpkin spice because I have a little jar of pumpkin spice sitting there by the coffee machine because I'm putting pumpkin spice on everything right now. So today I loved it because I loved it with the Zin. But second to me was the Ardi Gasna because I love Manchego. It's got that, I love that gritty, slippery, we talked about texture, I think. But the Alps, Carol asked about how to adopt an Alp yourself. You can't, I don't think, adopt it yourself because this is kind of really targeted, Carol, to the cheese shops and retailers, the Whole Foods, the Venissimos of the world, where we can order the big wheels from all these places.
Maybe they would let somebody, if Carol wanted a lot of cheese.
Yeah, if you want a lot, they might be able to get that for you. But we do it. I know Whole Foods does it. Small Goods. Everyone in town. Everyone adopts them because everybody wants to introduce the world to these cheeses. But I guess the best way: go to Switzerland, visit the cheesemakers. Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys are kind of supporting it by buying these cheese plates.
You did the plate, so you have supported the Alps.
Yeah,
sure.
That's that's what they're looking to do, and it's a good relationship. The one with us and the cheesemakers is that we're here telling their story. We're getting their cheese in front of you guys and everybody in the shops, and so it works out for everybody, I think.
I'm still in the Ardi Gasna because I do love it.
Yeah, save some for me. Jeez.
No, sorry. Usually he's the one eating. No, today it's me.
I was snacking all day. I was driving around making deliveries and eating as I was driving.
Is that why you're short cheese plates? You're like, oops, we're short.
Whoopsies.
Oopsie daisies.
Oh, it's today is December 1st.
It is December 1st, you guys.
We are feeling the holiday madness, or what do we say? The holidays.
Merry holidays, DAZE.
Uh-huh.
But it's more merry than mad. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a good thing. I mean, I count my blessings. When I get up and and I've got an inbox full of, I just look at it as that's business, and that's great.
Yeah, and you love it. You love sitting there chatting about cheese.
I will tell you, when we first started doing all the stuff, the events, and I would have one person ask every few months
for an event.
My dream was someday I want to just do this full time, and I got to keep working at it. And now it's just it's we have so much. I just am grateful for the work, and I when all those emails come in and people want to do events or whatever.
And you have to eat a cheese plate every day.
Yeah, I have so many cheese plates. I pay my babysitter in cheese plates.
Right? Oh.
But no, I'm just grateful for it,
Yeah, it's true. Gratefulness is good this time of year.
And I don't know if you feel the same way, but I don't really feel stressed a lot. Even though we're busy, I don't feel stressed because it's,
it's exciting.
Generally, it's exciting. Yeah. We're in a happy environment, and people are happy because there's cheese and there's wine and
yes.
Yeah, of course. Every once in a while, there's something
But that's
go
so
haywire.
rare.
It is rare.
Right?
It is
so
rare.
rare. So then it's just.
Yeah, it's not like I always say. We're like the opposite of meter maids. Meter maids, everybody's always pissed off to see you.
Yes, no one wants to see a meter maid. Nobody.
But when you're bringing cheese to every party, everyone's always happy to see you.
Everyone's happy to see you. It's a good thing. Oh, God. Well, Carol said she missed us. Love the wine and cheese. Yeah. Carol, I'm with you.
I saw Carol's name on the list, and I was like, oh, Carol.
Yeah, But this is it for this year, Rob, pretty much for Wino Wednesdays.
Well, what's coming up? What's next?
So next. Anyone wants to sing the blues and learn about the blues, here is your chance. Because this is a good story. Sunday is our Friends of Fromage class, all about blue cheeses. So Christina, who's hosting it, she hates blue cheeses. She only has tasted blue cheeses because she started working at Venissimo. Mm-hmm. But she is doing this class to introduce not only herself but everybody else to the beauty of blues. She's a convert. It's going to be interesting. So that's Sunday the 5th.
I wanted to see her reaction, but you said she's a convert now? Okay.
I think she's a convert. So it's going to be interesting which ones she can't still stomach. Mm-hmm. But then the accoutrements they have, it's all fun. The blues actually... We've talked about this. The blues and the stinkies are the ones that people are like, I'm not sure
Sometimes
about.
Goat cheeses are like that.
Sometimes goat, yeah. But anyway, that's the 5th. 12th, Del Mar.
Fondue raclette? Or are they doing raclette or just fondue?
Fondue raclette. No, both. Because if you're going to melt cheese, let's melt it in all different ways.
Tis the season.
Tis the season. And that's kind of it until the 29th, you and I.
Yeah, 29th we're back.
That's the last Wino Wednesday of 2021.
So I think we're kind of getting ready for New Year's, and we're going to do a decadence.
Decadence, you guys.
Decadent, which means fancy wine, right? Fancy everything.
Fancy wine, champagne, amazing champagne.
Champagne.
Amazing champagne, Hawaii grass, otherwise known as foie gras. There'll be lots of decadent things on this menu on the 29th. That's our last Wino Wednesday of 2021, and I'm not sure yet what 2022 is going to bring.
Yeah, we'll have to think about that.
It's a new year. We might have a new twist to everything, everybody. But this has been crazy. 34 of these, Rob.
Wow.
34 Wino Wednesdays.
I know also for 2022, I know we're starting to schedule more in-person things, and I know are they on the website yet?
Not yet for 2021.
Okay, 2022, but they'll be up there pretty soon, so people can buy for gifts and whatnot. But yeah, we got to think about. You know what? We don't always like to crowdsource, but if you have ideas, maybe the book club we can do. We talked about that. We teased on that a little bit.
Book club and travel stuff.
Travel stuff, yeah.
Because 2022, back in the travel saddle.
Well, I know I'm doing France, I think in April. France, and then we're all doing the Alps in the fall. So maybe we can do some broadcasts from Switzerland or something. Why not?
From Appenzell.
Wherever we are. Yeah.
Adopting an Alp.
Oh. I don't know if we'll get Wi-Fi up there though.
Maybe not. Morse code.
Yeah.
Tap. Something like that. But anyway, as always, thank you all for tuning in. Thanks for all for coming to Venissimo. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the wine. I know I did. Look
and
at
you
this.
left?
Wait, that's not just me. So just so you know. Sure. Anyways, good night. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers. All that good stuff.
Yes.
And we will see you again.
We will see you around.
Soon. Here or there, hopefully in person.
Yes.
Have a great holiday.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.